So, we have been looking at different aspects of managing, isn't it? So, we have looked at managing people, we have looked at managing controversies. Today, we look at managing crises. Okay. So, the way I am going to do this is I am going to tell you 3 stories, right? 2 stories are drawn from my own experience, and that is from government. 2 different types of crises that we manage in government. In government, you are constantly firefighting. There is always some problem, and you are expected to solve that problem. Sometimes you have people to solve that problem along with you, sometimes you are alone. But in any case, the decision making rests with you at the leadership level, right? The third scenario, and all these are true stories, all the 3 are true stories. The third scenario is from the private sector, okay? So that is because you are BBA students. So in case you decide to opt for the private sector, then you will be facing that kind of situation. I will simply tell the stories. So, you will do the analysis, right? So, look at the 3 different stories. What are the different types of crises which we are looking at? How private sector crises and government crises differ from each other? What are the different techniques that you will use or strategies that you will use? Remember, these are crises. This is not a decision-making, long drawn-out situation, right? So if you are looking at some project, then you have time, right? If you are looking at a big project, you are constructing a flyover, then there will be a lot of minor challenges, but you have time to look at those challenges and then solve them. But in a crisis, the unique thing is you have very little time. So within that short time frame available, you will have to take the decision and resolve the problem, otherwise it will just fester and become very big. Or in one of these cases, it will result in loss of lives also. And especially in government, you will find that people's lives are at stake, people's livelihoods are at stake. So when you take a decision, you need to be really responsible. Okay, let's go to the first one. What is the? Will you put this thing first? Okay, let's go to this first. Yeah. So these are the 3 stories. First, we are going to look at the Kodagu floods. I don't remember whether I have talked to this section before. In any case, we will describe this in more. I might have mentioned it, but we will describe it in more detail. The next is the migrant crisis. All of you will remember. Let's go into that in detail. And finally, at the Pepsi case. Okay, so these are the 3. Pepsi allaru pidikuma? Pepsi saapiduvanga irkingala? Ishtapattu Coca-Cola, Pepsi. So we look at the Pepsi, and then of course the last part is what you people will do. Okay, let me first talk about the Kodagu floods, right? 2018, remember there were floods in Kerala? How many of you are from Kerala? I remember you talking in the first year about the problems that you faced in reaching the airport or something, you said, isn't it? Who was that? Somebody, he's not here. You spoke about that? Yeah. So when Kerala was facing floods, heavy flooding, and after that now it has become a recurring phenomenon in different parts of the country. But that was our first experience, remember, that such major floods occurred in South India. Kodagu or Coorg. Any of you have heard of Coorg? Coorg is a small hill station which is adjacent. It is part of Karnataka, but it is adjacent to Kerala. So very heavy flooding in Kerala means a very heavy flooding in Coorg also. Heavy rains in Kerala means heavy rains in Coorg also. And in addition, Coorg is the place where Kaveri river starts. Right? Kaveri river theriyumla. All our food in Tamil Nadu comes because of Kaveri. Okay? It starts at a place called Talakaveri. Kurgula, there is a small place called Talakaveri. So the Kaveri river, every year it will bubble. There is a small festival they have. So it will just bubble up from the underwater stream. Then it flows down via Coorg, then via Mysore, and then it comes into Tamil Nadu. Tanjavur, our whole agrarian belt, Tanjavur, Trichy is fed by Kaveri river. Right? So the origin of Kaveri is in Coorg. So you can realize that how critical rains there can be. And there is a big reservoir called Harangi Reservoir that holds the water. And when it reaches critical levels, then the reservoir has to be opened and flooding starts. So this was 2018. I was in my office. At that time, I was Additional Chief Secretary to Government in a government department in Bangalore. But I was also the in-charge District Secretary for Coorg District. Right? There is a supervisory secretary. Usually, in a district, there is a district collector. Okay, the district collector supervises the district. District administration is in the hands of the district collector. In Karnataka, we have a system that above the district collector, there is a supervisory secretary. So we visit the district, we review the progress, we monitor the work of the district collector. If the district collector is having problems, then we try to solve it. If there are proposals which are pending, we push it. So we are senior officers. District collector is a junior officer. Okay, district collector has done about 10 years of service. But at that time, I had done about 30 plus years of service. Okay, so that is the difference. So I was district secretary in charge of Coorg district. So it was August 15th night, the rain started. Independence Day night, rain started in Coorg. 16th it became very heavy. Okay, I was in Bangalore, and I had gone to my office. My chief secretary is the senior most officer of the government, right? So he called me over telephone, and he said that, see, it is very heavy floods have started in Coorg, and the district collector is finding it very difficult. So you please go there and supervise the rescue and rehabilitation. And this is the nature of crisis management. I told you I was in office. So when you go to office, do you pack a suitcase? Will you pack a suitcase when you go to an office? When you come to college, do you pack your suitcase and come? No. So I have just gone to office with my handbag, something like somewhere, wherever Usha kept this. Okay. There was no time, right? It was very bad. I immediately from there, I called the district collector. There was a lady officer. She explained to me how difficult it was, the situation. And so I didn't wait. From my office, I directly left without anything, with just my handbag, no clothes, nothing, no accommodation, nothing arranged. I just went straight and I drove. Luckily, by the time, and because of the rains, Coorg is itself a very wooded area, forest area. So even by evening it was very dark. Luckily, I just escaped the flooding. They opened the Harangi Reservoir just after I passed. I reached the district collector's office, and for the next 10 days I was there only. Afterwards, my clothes and other things were sent. My family packed it and sent a suitcase for me to survive over there. So such is the nature of the crisis, that you don't have time at that time. That you can't say, Nalla prepare panenda nidanama pora. Okay, you have to react at once. Okay, I go there. I reach on 16th night. Progress was slow. As it is, it's a ghat road, but also because of the rains. By the time I reached, it was about 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. I spent the night, most of the time, except for a few hours, I spent it, and that was the case for the next 10 days, that I spent it in the DC's office itself, most of the time, except for 1 or 2 hours of sleep. And we start working, right? Army, Navy, Air Force, all were called, right? Navy helped with small boats. They have these small rubber boats, inflatable boats, where they will do the rescue. Not very helpful where it's a river which is flooding, right? Air Force, they parked in Mysore and they brought food supplies and dropped food. Patrikingla, they'll drop food from helicopters. And the main rescue operation was the army. Right? So I had to coordinate with all three of them, along with my own officers and officers of the police, to see that people are safe. Now remember that Coorg is a hilly area, right? It is a hilly area. It is full of coffee estates. Coorg is coffee growing area, full of coffee estates. So there will be one house here with a family. Then after a few kilometers, 5 or 6 kilometers, there will be another house. One big estate, and then there will be another house with another family. Rich, and then there will be the workers who are working in that estate, all of them concentrated in one area. Then there would be another house. So distances between houses are large. So what happens when if there is a flooding in an area which is densely populated, then you can send, one vehicle or one helicopter to rescue them, isn't it? But when people are spread out like this in forest area and hilly area, then it becomes extremely difficult to get them and save them. So we are sitting and working out our rescue plan, and at that time, somebody told me that there is a group of people, they have come to meet you, group of young boys. There are so many people were meeting, like the public will come, politicians will come, MLA, MP, everybody will come and talk to you only because you have to give the information. But there is a group of young boys, they want to meet you. So I called them inside, and these boys belong to the General Timmayya Academy, Adventure Academy. It's called Jetna. General Timmayya was a famous general. He actually hailed from Coorg. This is an adventure academy which was located in Coorg. Adventure academy, they'll organize treks, all these trails, forest trails, that kind of thing. But it's a government entity. It's under the sports department. Later on, I was secretary sports, and they were working as part of my department. But at that time, I was not in sports. I didn't even know that there was this organization, a very small organization. So they said that young boys, little older than you, okay, in their 20s, they said, see, we are well trained in these forest areas. We do treks, and we organize adventures for youngsters, people who are interested in trekking and trailing and nature walks and all. So we are well trained, so we would like to join the rescue operation. I told you that people are spread out in different places. So they said they volunteered, that we want to join. Now what is the problem with that? People come. When you go for any this natural calamity work, you will find that there are a lot of people who want to come and help. Public also will come and say that we will help. Politicians also will want to help. But you have to take a decision whether they are capable, because if I just choose that I need people also, any number of people are not enough in that kind of situation. Well, 100 people, you can use 100 people, right? But if they are incapable and they get stranded, or they are in danger, then it becomes a liability. You are responsible for their safety. Already there are people in danger. Now in addition you are putting some more people in danger. I said, I don't like to dampen their enthusiasm. I sat with them, I discussed with them. How much time do I have? Can I take 15 days to decide? Because people's lives are at stake. Whatever decision has to be taken now, right now. So I talked with them for 15-20 minutes. I was convinced. Their head also had come. So a gentleman called Kirti. So I was convinced that they are well trained. I looked at their, capability physically and in terms of training a skill. And I felt that they are capable of doing the job. But as a precaution, I told them that, see, you don't do the first line operation. That is actually jump into the flood and try to rescue. Let the army do the main work. You keep the second line, right? Then you can bring people. Those who are rescued, you can bring them to Madikeri. Madikeri is the headquarters. So they said yes. They went. And it so happened, see, one thing about the military, Army, Navy, Air Force, they will do wonderful work, but they will not document their work. Or even if they document their work, they will not share it with you. It is their job. They just do it. There is no social media presence, making reels, putting it out for the public to see. They just do it in a very, very professional way. They'll finish and go off. So all the work, in fact, with a lot of difficulty, I had asked one army major to come and speak to the people, which he did because I requested. But otherwise, they won't even speak about the work. So there's all the wonderful rescue work which was done, there was no documentation. But Jetna is a different organization. They are in the business of adventure, organizing adventures. So documentation is part of their work. They will simply document. So the only documented incident of rescue is what Jetna did. And this is what they did. There is a small hamlet, small hut with one family stranded there. Father, mother, grandparents, and a 2-month-old baby, girl baby. And then there is the river flowing across, and they have to bring them to the other side. So there's one young man, one of the volunteers, he went there, and you can see here that he is holding the baby on a ropeway, and below is the flood. If he slips, falls, or lets the baby slip, then it is certain death. And he brought the baby to the other side, right? And this is the only documented instance that we have of that rescue operation. Can you put the video? This boy's name is Pramod. If it is not here, then you will find it in YouTube. YouTubeல இருக்கும். இங்க நான் போடலையா, உங்களுக்கு லிங்க் போடலன்னா YouTubeல இருக்கும். I put no. Just download it. No, you download it. Go to downloads. அதே யூஸ் பண்ணுங்க. So I want you to keep in mind that the situation, the time I had, and what is at stake. What is at stake? The lives of a family, and especially a 2-month-old baby, right? That is what is at stake. So this is the incident, how that young boy Pramod, who is probably only a few years older than you, he rescued that little baby. And this, as I said, this is the only documented instance which we have that, of a rescue operation, because most of the other rescues were done by the army, or mostly by the army. So this is something which is actually documented, and they, of course, they put it up on their website. The time which we had, one side is that you have people, and they are not the only people who volunteered, okay? There are many people who volunteered. I had a MLA who was some 50 years old, and an MLC also who was also in his mid-50s. They also, wanted to become part of the rescue operations. People help. You'll have a lot of people. The decision making there which was required is that this is a crisis, who is capable of handling that crisis, and how best you use the resources which is available to you. And in this case, the resources available to me was the skill of these young boys, right? And this little girl, she became a mascot. Everybody saw this, and I didn't know, because I didn't have TV. We didn't have any, we hardly used to get electricity because of the heavy rains. But the chief minister saw this, and he remarked, and that girl became, that small baby, the photo is there, that baby? No, I didn't bring it. That baby became like a mascot, because everybody, whole Karnataka was looking at this, and, they were inspiring to so many people, right? At the time of a great distress, especially to the people of Kodagu. So this is one incident of a crisis and the management of a crisis, right? So let us go to the next. Okay. This, all of you know, all of you have gone through this migrant crisis, COVID, everybody got good, right? I got 3 times because the COVID year I was Additional Chief Secretary of Labour Department, right? So you people in Coimbatore, you would have experienced a lot. Coimbatore and Tirupur, how many of you are from Tirupur? Lot of labourers who are working in the manufacturing sector, whichever, whether foundries or garments. There also it was garment sector, construction sector. So they all, once lockdown was announced, they all went back to their villages, right? Wherever, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Bihar, West Bengal, wherever they came from. Remember that? And you used to see photographs on TV of people walking back. This happened in 2020 when lockdown was first announced. Right. By 2021, a reverse migration started happening. How long will you stay without livelihood in your villages? You have to come back, right? ஜீவனம் போயிடும்ல, அவங்க வீட்டிலே உட்கார்ந்தாங்கன்னா திருப்பி வர ஆரம்பித்தாங்க. எங்கேயும் அதான் ஆச்சு இல்லை, the people started coming back. 2021 March, I was posted as Additional Chief Secretary of Labour. At that time, nobody will even touch Labour Department. It was so difficult, very, very controversial. The first thing that I did was that I made a promise to myself that as long as I am sitting in this chair, there should not be a single migrant on the streets. Right? That was something which I told myself. And I can tell you today that from the day I joined, the 6th of March 2021, till the day I relinquished charge, not a single migrant was on the streets. I saw to it that somehow our workers are taken care of. Whether they are from Karnataka, whether they are from Tamil Nadu, whether they are from Jharkhand, whether they are from Bihar, without any kind of discrimination, we saw to it that people are taken care of. Now what did we do? Right? The first thing which I did was that just as I talked to you, I called them and I talked to them. So you can see that first photograph there. Can you point that in your... So I called my workers. This is one discussion. Like this, I had several discussions. I asked them, what is it that you need? But there were a lot of complaints against government. I don't know whether it was true here, it was true there, that people were very critical of government and the way it was taking care of workers during the lockdown and all that. Now they told me that, you have given us food. At that time they were giving cooked food. Right? You have given us food, you have tried to take care of us. But what we need is our job. So in Kannada they said that, now kelasagararu. That is, we are workers. Naanga vela seiravanga. Okay. Now kelasagararu. Namage kelasa beku. I want work. Namage pagar beku. I want my wages. Right? நாங்கள் வேலை செய்கிறவங்க, எங்களுக்கு வேலை வேணும், எங்கள் சம்பளம் வேணும். நீங்கள் பார்த்துக்கிறீங்க சரி, பட் எங்களுக்கு வேண்டியது இதுதான். ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் அவர் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பாலிசி டெசிஷன். ஓகே, that we decided to reopen our factories. Think of the risk. There are large numbers of workers who are going to work again in garment sector, construction sector. So there's always the risk of infection, right? Reinfection. So you are taking a decision based on what we call the felt need of the population. That is what the people want. That is your clients. We do what let us say, as a teacher, I will do what my students want. But I also should see that the students are not endangered. Their safety is taken care of. So if you are taking a policy decision to reopen your manufacturing sector and your construction sector, because Bangalore is mainly construction workers. Huge part of Bangalore's worker population is construction workers. If you are taking, then you need to take adequate precautions also. Right? You can't just say go and work. Everybody is happy, they will also work. The industries also will be very happy to take them, but COVID can spread again. And that was just, the second wave. So along with this, along with the policy decision to allow them to go back to work and allow the sector to function, we started rigorous testing and vaccination, right? And for vaccination, we tied up with private hospitals. With government hospitals alone, we could not manage. We had ESI hospitals, it's under the Labour Department, but that was not sufficient. So we tied up with a private hospital network and we started vaccinating also. So and the vaccination used to be done in the workplace. It was not always necessary that they should go to the hospital. It is a very small setup. So we just used to take our doctors and others and we used to see that they are vaccinated in their workplaces itself. So on one side, you are allowing the sector to function. On the other side, you are putting in safeguards to see that the negative fallout does not happen. So this was one part, right? Then there was the other part of food. So in the first year, that is 2020, my predecessor the government had taken a decision to distribute food to workers and others, to many people. And my predecessor, the person who was there before me, he had taken a decision to give cooked food, right? Well, when you give cooked food, what happened? It might have happened here also. In India, we have different food habits. So Karnataka, South Karnataka, the food habits are similar to Tamil Nadu. Rice, rasam, sadam, rasam and that kind of poriyal. In North Karnataka, it is similar to Maharashtra. Jowar roti, right? Palyas, that kind of kal, which you have here, sundal, that kind of food. Our workers are mostly from North India. They are used to chapatis, wheat chapatis, and potatoes, paneer. So people did not like that cooked food which we were providing. Now at that time you can't see, it's not a hotel. You have to mass produce and give. People rejected that, food got wasted, spoiled. So there were many complaints. So we decided in 2021 that we will give dry rations, not cooked food. We will not cook. We gave dry rations and we said we will not give it as though we are giving, dole. அவங்களுக்கு ஏதோ உபகாரம் பண்ற மாதிரி. It is not some help you are doing for them. It is our duty we are doing, right? As government, it is my duty to see that my people are fed, right? My workers are fed. So we gave them very neatly packed in small cartons. I don't know whether there is a photograph here. In small cartons we gave them ingella. Irka? Illa. Okay. Chinna chinna atta pottila nicely vacuum packed rice, wheat. Even one of my officers wanted to give even sambar pudi. We have to sit and decide that what are the things which you include. So whatever a family will require, right? In small pack, without only Department of Labor, nobody's photo, and you must give credit to my minister and my chief minister. People will put in these kind of crises, they will ask that their photo should be put. Nobody's photo, nobody's name. Only Department of Labor, Government of Karnataka. We gave them small cartons which we distributed. And how did we distribute? We did this very, very openly, very transparently. We go to a major center, either labor office or Tahsildar office. My officers would go. We have a list of workers who are there and they can come. Once, if their name is there on the list, we just gave them. This was a very, very simple procedure. And we told anybody, MLA, you want to come, join us, you want to this thing, please come. You can open, we'll show you. Tomorrow, nobody needs to complain that bad food was given, it was poor quality. Nothing. Anybody can open, anybody can inspect. Absolutely transparent. And there were also, I should share this with you, that we have a list of workers which is A, B, C, D, E, F. These are our workers in this particular taluka. But Somebody wants a little more. Some MLA will, one minister called me and said, I need 50, ஒரு 50 packet ஜாஸ்தி வேணும். Okay. It will only go to people who are in need. Nobody is going to sell that and make money out of it. Right? So, யாராவது கொஞ்சம் நிறைய கேட்டாலும், we did not say no. We simply gave. Because we felt that it ultimately goes to people who need it. This was very different from the way food department. There is another department called Food and Civil Supplies Department. They were so afraid that it would be misused, that whatever distribution was done by food department, which is the PDS department. Once or twice we have talked about public ration shop and the department. Avanga velaye food distribution tha, but they made it so tight that people stopped going there. We liberalized. So we just, whoever asked, fair enough, we had a list, we followed a procedure, but if somebody wanted little more, we gave generously, openly. There was a Karnataka Law Authority, right? There's this thing called Karnataka Law Authority. They were, first they were they were asked to monitor. High Court asked them to monitor all the COVID-related work. So they, the first meeting they were very aggressive. That, if nothing is being done, government is like this, that and all that. Then we said that please come, join us. And I told my commissioner, invite them. We invited them to the distribution. Whenever we were doing distribution, we used to inform them. So you can also come and join. They came and saw. They said, you're doing such wonderful work. They just, their whole attitude changed. From being highly critical, they became very good supporters. Same happened with MLAs, with MPs, politicians. Because none of us asked for credit. Nowhere I have put my name, or my commissioner has put, or even my minister has put. In fact, I think that my minister could have got a lot of credit. Politicians usually like to take credit, but he also didn't do it. Right? He's there, this person in the center. That is my minister. And this is the chief minister in the corner. Because that is me. And that is one of the workers who are receiving the. So this is one. Then we said, no, this is not enough. So this is all immediate, food. Giving food. And then another chief minister announced that this was the previous chief minister, before Mr. Bommai came. He said that we will give cash. So we gave 2,000 rupees to domestic workers and 3,000 rupees to construction workers. Just cash assistance. Here there was a small hitch. I wanted to give actual cash. Kaila panam kudukunonu. Okay. The reason for this is that when you are in lot of trouble, two things will give you courage. One is food in your pocket, which we are taking care of. Another is money in your hand. Having actual cash in your hand will give you a lot of courage. But my officers refused. So this is one thing. Sometimes you will have to listen to your people. I wanted to give cash. Even now, till the end I was, arguing that it is it is little risky, but we should give cash. But the problem with giving cash is that it can be misused. Even if it's not misused, you can be accused of being misused. It can be lost. You have to carry large amounts of cash to different parts of the state. So there were many logistical issues. So my officers, pleaded with me, Madam, please don't insist on this. We'll give through bank. So it was through direct bank transfer. Okay. So in this case, there are instances where your subordinates may be more sensible than you. You have to listen to them. I listened to them, and in the end, it turned out to be a good thing. So that check which you are seeing, that is just a symbol. We actually gave it through direct bank transfer, DBT. So this is one part, cash and food. But there was one more part here. what happens if again COVID comes or some other pandemic comes or some calamity comes? How many calamities you have seen, no, the last 5-6 years? By the time you left school and you come to college, you must have seen 3 or 4 floods will be there, or drought will be there, or the pandemic is there. So many things your generation has seen. So we wanted to improve the resilience of people so that even if such calamities happen, they should be able to recover very quickly. Right? It should not affect them so badly. So 2 aspects we focused. One was health, one was education. This is not for the immediate, this is for the long term. So one thing which we did is this van which you see here, we got a mobile van, right? We got a mobile van which was fully equipped with normal testing and emergency facilities, first aid facilities, with one nurse, one paramedic and a driver. If it was going to a larger place, then 2 nurses, 2 paramedics and a driver. And this will go from labor colony to labor colony or from construction site to construction site. So both workplace and their residence. And they could do some 21 tests right there. And also offer emergency care where it was required. So this is still functioning, right? The second thing which we did was education, right? So for all workers' children, we have subsidized their education to the extent of even 100% subsidy. That is full free education from KG to PhD, right? It is fully subsidized by the construction board, right? That is by the government. Completely subsidized from KG to PhD. It's unique in anywhere in India. And for those who get admission to IIT, IIM or any foreign university, even application fees is reimbursed. Because application fee is little expensive for all these foreign universities and all. So even application fee is paid for those who successfully get through IITs, get into IITs, IIMs, NIAS, Indian Institute of Science, or any foreign university. So this is something which is unique, which nowhere else it has been done. And for that I was invited by the International Institute of Migration of the United Nations. They asked me to describe what we had done. So I spoke to a very large audience there about the work which we had done. Okay. So these are the things. We looked at the immediate food and cash and the long-term health and education, and we navigated more or less successfully the migrant crisis. One more thing which I forgot, the top photograph there. We are also giving, and this is also still going on, all these initiatives, long-term initiatives still going on. We are giving free coaching for UPSC exams and all competitive exams through a select panel of training institutes to the children of construction workers. So this is also one more thing which we are doing, and these initiatives are still going on. So this is the second instance of a crisis. The first was the Kodagu calamity, natural calamity, how you handle. And the second is this long drawn out COVID pandemic migrant crisis, and how do you handle that. I hope you were able to see it was understood. The ad, it's advertisement, Pepsi advertisement. Purinjida, why do you think it would have become so controversial? It's a very controversial advertisement. Did we do the Coca-Cola ad with this group? No. Coca-Cola and Pepsi are in an eternal war with each other. and their advertisements contribute to the ammunition. Okay, this is the background of this ad. Remember a few years ago there was that BLM movement in USA, Black Lives Matter, right? That is against racism, okay, in USA. And what the ad is showing is that there is a demonstration, protest going on. BLM protest is going on, that people are going on marching on the roads. And you can see that the policemen are standing there watching, and the situation is very hostile. And at that time this girl, anybody knows her? Pretty girl? Not interested? No Kim Kardashian? Yeah? Heard of Kim Kardashian? Wow, good backbencher. Kim Kardashian's sister. Yeah, her name is Kendall something. Kendall Jenner, right? So she is a model. So in the ad also she is a model. She is finishing her modeling assignment and coming out, and she sees the protest. She joins the protest, and the policemen are very hostile. She goes and gives them a Pepsi, and everything is very happy. The policeman smiles and everybody is very happy. You can see in this, she's giving him the... So this is the ad, right? Why it became so connected? The Pepsi put it out and there was a horrible backlash. So it was seen as extremely condescending. Like there is a protest which is in support of blacks, African Americans, and then this white girl comes, and just by giving a Pepsi she has solved everything. So that is the way it was taken. So it was more taken as something which is condescending, superior, somewhat showing that white people have all the answers, and Pepsi is some kind of remedy for the racial tensions of the USA. A lot of racial tension in USA. If this advertisement was at least people understood like that you are telling as though Pepsi is the solution for all the social tensions in the country. So there was a very big backlash. And what did Pepsi do? So that is the crisis. The crisis is not the advertisement, but the backlash against public backlash. And what did they do? First they said that no, in the initial few days, they said no, what we have done is correct. We are trying to showcase the issue, and we are also trying to find a harmonious solution, right? So they stood their ground. But after a few days, they pulled back the advertisement. They apologized. And people started saying that this was the best Coke ad, because everybody, after seeing the advertisement, people stopped drinking Pepsi and began to drink Coca-Cola, right? So they pulled back the advertisement, and it kind of ruined Kendall Jenner's career also. Pepsi recovered, but her career was ruined after this. So this is the third scenario. As you can see now, that I gave you first a natural calamity in the government sector. The second is the migrant crisis, again in the government sector, major calamity, but with a much longer time span. And the third is the private sector crisis, which is the Pepsi ad. They put out an ad for increasing the sales, but because of the way the ad is made, it causes a public furor, and they are forced to pull it back and do damage control, right? So these are the three incidents of crisis. So now I want a volunteer to first describe each. Let us start with No, the first one. Just give me your reactions to the first instance, the Kodagu floods. Volunteer? If voluntary volunteer is not there, involuntary volunteers will be selected. Your reactions, what is right, what is wrong, how it can be done better, what you would have done. I think I told you, yeah.
Actually, அந்த டைம்லாம் எங்களுக்குலாம் என்எஸ்எஸ் ஸ்கூலில் படிக்கிற டைமில் தான் அந்த கோவிட் வந்து அந்த டைம் ஸோ அந்த டைமில் நான் படிக்கிற டைமில் காலேஜில் வாரண்டி ஸ்கூலில் வாரண்டியாக செய்யணும் அப்படிங்கும்போது வீட்டில் விட மாட்டாங்க எல்லாருக்கும் பயம் எவ்வளோ சின்ன ஏஜில் பட் அந்த டைமில் நிறையா ஃபிஷரிஸ் நிறையா என்னென்னா நியூஸில் பார்த்தேன் பட் அதை எதுவுமே அதை சாப்பாடுன்னு எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு ஸோ ஊரில் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு நடந்தது யாருக்கும் பெருசாக தெரியல. ஏன்னா எங்கள் ஊரில் பொறுத்தவரை கேரளாவில் அவ்வளோ பெரிய ஒரு கிரைசிஸ் நடக்கிறதுனால ஊரில் நடக்கிற அந்த சின்ன ஒரு விஷயம் மாதிரி தான் ஏன்னா அது நியூஸில் வராது. ஸோ அதை பற்றி நல்லா தெரிஞ்சுதான் இருந்துச்சு. ஒரு கவர்மெண்ட் ஸ்டாஃபுக்கு நமக்கு தெரியும். இப்போ நம்மளை பொறுத்தவரை நம்மளை சும்மா உட்கார மட்டும்தான் நாங்கள் நினச்சிட்டு இருக்கோம். பட் ஒரு சத்த ஒரு டைம் so
okay, yeah, how you react. Now let us look at the second instance, migrant crisis. Somebody from this side. Anyone? இப்படி தான் கிரைசிஸ் ஹேண்டில் பண்ணுவீங்களா, சும்மா இருந்துடுவீங்களா? கேர்ள்ஸ், யா யூ ஒன்லி யூ. Come on. Why is it only a few people? புரியலனாலும் சொல்லுங்க. Yeah, next I'll come to you. Even if you didn't answer, today I spoke largely in English because by now you should have got used to English. Something would have. No, what did you think of this? That's all I'm asking. What did you think?
Pandemic time வந்து லாக்டவுன்ல போட்டுருந்தாங்க. நாங்களாம் ஸ்கூல்ல தான் படிச்சுட்டு இருந்தோம். அப்புறம் லாக்டவுன் போட்டனால ரொம்பவே இதாச்சு, வாங்க கூட முடியல. இந்த திங்ஸ்னா வெளியே போகவே முடியாது. ரொம்பவே கஷ்டமா தான் இருந்துச்சு.
Okay, what about that situation? Yeah. அவங்களுக்கு கொடுங்க.
கிரைசிஸ் சொன்னாங்க இல்லையா, அது வந்து நீ என்ன புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்ட?
சார், கோவிட்ல வந்துட்டு
வேற என்ன வருஷனியா?
நாங்கள் வீட்டில் சும்மா கேம்ஸ் விளையாட அந்த மாதிரி தான் இருந்தோம். இந்த மாதிரி இவ்வளோ ஹெல்ப்லாம் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க அப்படின்றது எங்களுக்கு தெரியாது. இப்போ நீங்கள் சொன்னனால தான் எங்களுக்கு இந்த விஷயம்லாம் நடந்திருக்கு அப்படின்றது தான் தெரியும்.
அவ்வளோதான். இதுக்கு என்ன பெருசு தயக்கம்?
எதை கஷ்டம் கொடுக்கணும் வாய்க்கணும். Let me do as little as possible. Yeah.
பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தோம். அவ்வளோ ஸ்டெடியில் பண்ணிட்டு அவ்வளோ ஸ்டடி பண்ணுறாங்க. அப்டேட் இருந்தது அந்த லாக்டவுன் போட்டு அந்த ஊசியில் போட்டாங்க. ஊசி அது வந்து சயின்டிஃபிக்கலாக இல்லை, கோச்சு தான். ஆனால் சில பேர் பயம், அந்த ஊசி போட்டீங்கன்னா சைட் பண்ணுறோம், அந்த பயம். ரொம்ப ஹெல்ப்ஃபுல்லாக பண்ணிட்டு நாங்கள் ரிசர்வ் பண்ண அவ்வளோ கூப்பிட்டு பார்க்கலாம். அந்த நியூஸ் நாலேஜ் ஃபுட்டெல்லாம் ரொம்ப கஷ்டம். இந்த சாப்பாடு அந்த மாதிரிலாம் கொஞ்சம் கஷ்டம் தான். அந்த டைம் கொஞ்சம் கடைசி தான் நல்லாயிருக்கும். என்னோட வந்து நான் இல்லைன்னா ஃபீல்டா உங்களை மாதிரி எதாவது ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுறது இன்சிடென்ட்ஸ் அந்த மாதிரி அந்த ஃபீல்டில் ரொம்ப இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட். தேங்க்யூ.
See, that is when both of you point. Actually, some students did a lot of work. You were telling NSS. See, I spoke to you about 2021 when I was Labour Secretary. I was ACS Labour. Before that, I was ACS Sports in 2020, first wave of COVID. And NSS was under my control. And NSS volunteers did tremendous work, especially as assistants. And we had many nursing college students as NSS volunteers. In this video, in this PPT I don't have, but I have there was one NSS volunteer who was a nursing college student. ஒரு வாரம் ஒர்க் செஞ்சா. Her name was Parimala or something. I have her photograph also with that PPE kit. So I was never seen her face. I've only seen her in PPE. 1 week she worked continuously for COVID, and after 1 week she refused to go. She said, no, I'll work more. Then I had to sit with her, and her HOD could not convince her. Then they called me. I sat with her and said, please go take rest. Mandatorily you have to take rest, otherwise you will not be able to perform. So we had to force her to go and have rest. So NSS volunteers did tremendous work during the COVID. But most of the people who sat at home and did not do anything, were watching TV, don't even know. Like many of you told that we didn't know all this was happening. But people were doing wonderful work. Who did? As I said, NSS volunteers did. Government officials did a lot of work. Trade unions did tremendous work. Wonderful work was done by trade unions during that period. Okay. Most of the outreach work was done by trade unions during COVID. From my side I am saying, because I was in Labour Department, I was dealing with trade unions. Lot of work was done by them. So there were many people who were silently working, whom we don't recognize, right? So we see, some big this thing, and we see people who come in on television and they will chat, they will criticize everything which is going on. Idu sarilla, adu sarilla. But real vela vera yarellama senjirukanga without silently, okay, without publicizing. Okay. Even Kodugu, I was the first one to go. Then after that, another 5-6 officers joined me. One Kerala cadre officer who was on deputation, he was also he also came. And they did such wonderful work. And we had a code that nowhere we will take personal publicity. You would have seen, especially in Kerala, a lot of officers, in the officer Mota Tukinare, and the officer. We made a commitment that we will not do any personal publicity. So you will not find my name or the name of any of my officers who actually did the work. None of their names will be there in any newspaper. This video which I showed you, below that there was it came out in the newspaper also, along with YouTube. It also came out in the newspaper, where without my knowledge the Jetna put my name, because they felt that it was because of me that they could participate in that effort. So out of that, to give thanks, they put my name. I also did not know. Later on I saw that because of our leadership we were able to do this abdin or acknowledgement madri potrundanga. So we did all this work I'm not saying we should have publicity. It's our job as government officers, and those of you who join, you should not look for personal publicity in all these things, right? You should do it because that is what you are meant for. Okay. Third one, easy one. Kendall Jenner. You only know Kim Kardashian, so please tell. What did you think of the third crisis?
செகண்ட் ரிலீஸ் வெப்சீரியில் இருக்கு முடிச்சுட்டு
வேணவே வேணாங்கிறீங்களா? நல்லது தான், பட் அவங்க அட்வர்டைஸ்மெண்ட். ஸோ நவ் டோன்ட் லுக் அட் த ஃபிலாசபி. ஓகே, வெதர் வி நீட் டு ட்ரிங்க், இட்ஸ் யுவர் பர்சனல் சாய்ஸ் வெதர் யூ ட்ரிங்க் பெப்சி ஆர் நாட். But how did they handle that crisis? First of all, was it a real crisis? And what did you think? I told you what they did, right? When advertisement came, there was a public furor about the advertisement. Ellaru edutanga ada. They pulled back the advertisement and they did damage control, right? This is the story. What do you think of the nature of that crisis? This is entirely private sector, nothing to do with government, right? What did you think of how Pepsi handled this issue? You are looking at it from the angle of a management student. How will you manage such things?
சொசைட்டியில் இஷ்யூஸ் வந்தனால தான்
ஆமாம், கரெக்ட் கரெக்ட். என்ன செய்வீங்க நீங்கள்? Okay, sit down. I want now one of you, I gave you 3 different types of crisis and how you manage, how it was managed, right? 2 from public sector, government, and 1 from private sector, corporate, right? Tell me compare these 3 things. What are the 3 types of crisis? How are they different from each other? Are there any similarities? ஒரே மாதிரியா இல்லை வேறு வேறு மாதிரி இருக்கா? How is your approach to these different types of crisis? Anybody can tell me? The moment you leave this college and go and sit in a chair in any office, you will be handling with whatever level you are there. You need not be head. Even if you are working there, there will be small crises which you have to manage. So what did you think of this?
ஃபஸ்ட்டு நான் எங்கள்கிட்ட சொல்லியிருக்கேன். ஏன்னா இது இப்போ நான் மட்டும் பேசுகிறதில்ல, எனக்கு ஒரு இது இல்லை. பட் நமக்கு வந்து ஸ்டேயிங் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறேன். ஸோ நான் இப்போ இதில் வந்து ஃபுல்லாக நம்மளுக்கு நீங்கள் 3 கேசஸ் காமிச்சிங்க. இதில் மேன்மேட் ரிசோர்ஸஸ் தான் அதிகமாக. இப்போ கொஞ்சம் பாருங்கள், இப்போ இதெல்லாம் வெப்சைட்லேயே அப்படி சொல்லுவாங்க. இதில் ஆக்சுவலி அவங்களுக்கு ஒரு பிஸ்னஸ் பர்பஸ் இருக்குது. பட் இந்த ஆப்பில் வந்து நீங்கள் சொன்னீங்க ரேசிசம் ஒரு கான்செப்ட் சொன்னீங்க. ஏன்னா இப்போ அந்த டைம்லாம் அமெரிக்காவில் பிளாக் பீப்புளுக்கு இருக்கிற ஒரு பிரச்சனை நடந்துட்டு இருந்துச்சு. நான் வந்து சப்போர்ட் பண்ணேன். அதோட ஆப் ஒரு 10 தடவைக்கு ஒரு 3 தடவை யோசிச்சுக்கலாம் நம்ம ஆப் பண்ணுறது. ஏன்னா மற்ற மனுஷங்க அதனால பாதிக்கப்படுறாங்க. அந்த பையன் சொன்ன மாதிரி இதில் வந்து ஃபுல் ஆஃப் எப்படி சொல்கிறேன்னா கெமிக்கல்ஸ் தான் இருக்குது. நிறைய பேர் இஸ் அஃபெக்டிங். ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி ஆப் உண்டாகிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி அந்த அட்வர்டைஸ்மெண்ட் பீப்புள் ஒரு தடவை திங்க் பண்ணிடலாம். இந்த நேச்சுரல் டிசாஸ்டருங்கிறது என்னோட ஒரு இதில் எக்ஸாம்பிள் நான் எவ்வளோ சொல்லிடுறேன். அந்த டைமில் நான் இது தண்ணி போகிற பாதை இருக்குது. அந்த பாதையில் போய் வீடு வைக்கிறது நல்ல விஷயம் இல்லை. அந்த மாதிரி வீடு வச்சனால தான் பொதுவான நேச்சுரல் டிசாஸ்டர் எல்லாமே மனுஷனுக்கு அஃபெக்ட் பண்ணுறது. ரோட்ஸ் இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணுறாங்க, டெவலப்மெண்ட் நிறையா வருது. ஆனால் வரதில் பிரச்சனை இல்லை, 10 பேருக்கு நல்லது தான். ஆனால் அந்த வரனால நீங்கள் இருக்கிற ஒரு வருஷத்துக்கு ஒரு தடவையாக அவங்க இது பண்ணுறாங்க. இப்போ கோவிட் எல்லாரும் சொல்கிறாங்க சைனாவிலேருந்து தான் வந்துச்சுருக்காங்க. பட் இது வந்து எப்படி சொல்கிறது, பாப்புலேஷன் இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணுறதுக்காக வந்துச்சுன்னு ஒரு நியூஸ் ஒரு சைடு போயிட்டு இருக்கு. எப்படி வருதுன்னே தெரியல, ஒரு சைடு வருது. நிறைய பேர் இறந்துருவாங்க. நியூஸ்லாம் பார்த்தா கூடிய எடுக்கிற இடம் கூட இல்லை. புதுகிரகம்லாம் இந்த மாதிரி பண்ணுறாங்கன்னு பார்க்குறாங்க. ஸோ இது எல்லாத்துக்கும் நான் நினைக்கிறேன் மேன்மேட் டிசாஸ்டர்ஸ் தான் இதுக்கெல்லாம் காரணம்னு தான் நான் நினைக்கிறேன். இப்போ சொன்ன ரீசன்ஸ் தான். அண்ட் இதுக்கு இப்போ என்னோட பாயிண்ட் ஆஃப் வியூவில் பார்த்தோம்னா அவங்க இப்போ இருக்கிற மனுஷங்க படிப்பது அதிகமானால கொஞ்சம் பைத்தியம் மாதிரி இருக்காங்க. ஏன்னா நம்ம இப்போ நினைக்கிற மாதிரி ஒரு கான்செப்ட்லேயே போகிறது எல்லாம் தெரியும் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு இதுதான் எல்லாரும் இருக்காங்க. யாருக்கும் ஃபியூச்சர் பற்றி எப்படி போவான்னு தெரியல. இப்போ கூட எல்லாம் வார்த்தையும் நாங்கள் வீடு கட்டி போயிட்டே இருக்காங்க. ஆனால் ஒரு வருஷம் கொஞ்சம் முடிஞ்சதுக்கப்புறம் ஃபியூச்சரில் வர அவங்க கஷ்டப்படுவாங்கன்னு யாரும் திங்க் பண்ணுறது இல்லை. ஆனால் இந்த கான்செப்டில் நானும் இப்போ என்னால் சொல்ல முடியுது. ஆனால் எனக்கும் ஒரு தேவை தான், நானும் இப்படி தான் பண்ணுவேன். எனக்கு ஒரு ஹியூமன் நேச்சர் தான், மாற்ற முடியாது.
Good. Very detailed and good. Whoever clapped now has to take each point and reply. Yes.
நவிஷா என்னன்னா இப்போ மூவிஸ் எடுக்கும்போது சென்சார் போர்டில் வந்து அவங்க மூவி கார்பரேஷன் சென்சார் போர்டில் செக் பண்ணி தான் ஒரு மூவி. அதே மாதிரி இந்த பெரிய கம்பெனிஸோட இதெல்லாம் ஒரு எம்என்சி கம்பெனி. ஸோ எல்லா கண்ட்ரிஸுமே இருந்ததாக இருக்கும். ஸோ வெப்சினா யூஎஸில் மட்டும் இல்லை, இங்கேயும் ஷாருக் கான் அப்படி நிறைய பிரபலம் ஆக்ஷன். அப்போது இந்த மாதிரி ஆடை பப்ளிஷ் பண்ண முன்னாடி சென்சார் போர்டில் ஒரு பர்மிஷன் வாங்கணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லியிருந்தா இந்த மாதிரி பிரச்சனை வந்துருக்காரு.
ஓகே.
அதுக்கப்புறம் இந்த மாதிரி எந்த ஆட் எடுத்தாலும் சென்சார் போர்டில் கண்டிப்பாக பர்மிஷன் வாங்கணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி.
Okay, so that is one policy solution, that like movies, like films, advertisements also should go through some kind of censorship, right? Now, again, it's a point of view. In any country, advertisements are not usually don't go through the censor board, but especially in USA, they are very, very insistent on freedom of speech. Freedom of speech and expression is one of their great rights, right? So they don't, it is like our fundamental rights, Madhuri, they take it very seriously. So very few things will be censored. It is up to the people to make their judgment, right? So there was I think we'll do it when we go to the second year. We did one case with them about the Coca-Cola ad also. So even something which is socially may not be acceptable, right? This was also not socially acceptable for one reason. There are other reasons, others may not be socially acceptable. It is allowed. It is up to you to make a judgment. And how do you make a judgment? In this case and in many other cases, how do you vote? You vote with your feet, right? You will stop drinking Pepsi because you don't like their ad, which is what happened in this case also. I told you that first they said that what we did is correct. Then after a few days they saw that it is showing in the market results. Their share value goes down. Their sales drops. Then immediately they pulled back the advertisement and they started doing damage control, right? So this is the way USA handles it. They take freedom of speech and expression extremely seriously. They expect you and me as customers, as citizens, to exercise proper judgment. So that is how it is handled. In our country, we do regulation. Europe also to an extent, but especially in Southeast Asian countries, there is more regulation from the government. So government first itself will say this is okay, not okay. So both have their advantages and disadvantages. In this case, it is the American way. Okay, so that is, yeah.
Google setting video. சொல்லுங்க கோக் கம்பெனி அப்படின்னு சொல்றீங்க. கோக் வந்து குடிக்கிறனால உள்ள குடல் அடிச்சு நேற்று இன்ஸ்டால பார்த்த கோகா கோலா ஃபுல்லா கெமிக்கல் ஒரு இரும்புல ஊத்துறாங்க, ஃபுல்லா அடிச்சது. அந்த குடிச்சீங்கன்னா உங்க குடல் அடிச்சிடும் கெமிக்கல். நீங்க வந்து கோகா கோலா தண்ணி டேப் வந்து விவசாயம் சம்பந்தம் தண்ணி எடுக்கிறாங்க, விவசாயம் தண்ணி அடிக்க 2 லிட்டர் கோகா தயாரிக்கிறது. அது விவசாயம் கஷ்டம் பண்றாங்க, தண்ணி அவ்வளோ கையில. நீங்க வந்து ஆட் பண்ணலாம், வந்து கொக்கோ கோலா நீங்க ஆட் பண்ணீங்க, அவங்க பிடிச்சி நம்ம பிடிச்சி கிடையாது. அவங்களோட ப்ராசஸ் இந்த ப்ராஃபிட் லாஸ் அந்த மாதிரி போகுது, மார்க்கெட் இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆகுது, அவங்க பண்ணலாம். ஆனால் அதுக்குன்னு இவ்வளோ ஹெல்த் வச்செல்லாம் பண்ணிட்டாரு.
See, this thing there is that we are going into, we are not looking at the crisis. Both you and him, both of you looked at whether it is, health-wise, how damaging it is. Is it good for you or not? If it is bad for you and you believe it is bad for you, don't drink. That is the attitude of the MNC. I am advertising, you don't like it, don't drink it. They will try to persuade you. Okay, so as a lesson in crisis management, this is what they have done. Whether it is ethically sound is a different question. அப்படி நீங்கள் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா there are many things which you should not sell at all, not just Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Perhaps even நம்ம வெளியில் வாங்குகிற கீரை, it is full of pesticides. Do you say that the farmer should not sell? So it is also up to us to use our judgment and be careful, okay? But yeah, you don't like it, don't drink it. That's the simple philosophy. Somebody else wanted to say something? Yeah. Yeah.
இப்போ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா மைக்ரேட் கேஸ் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இப்போ இன்னொரு இடத்துல இருந்து இப்போ திருப்பூர் ஒர்க் வராங்க. இப்போ நிறைய ப்ரோக்கர்ஸ் நிறைய ப்ரோக்கர்ஸ் லீக் மூலியமாக வராங்க. ஒரு ஒர்க்கை வந்து அவங்க வந்து இப்போ மந்த்லி இவ்வளோ சார்ஜஸ் மூலியமாக எடுத்துகிட்டு போகிறாங்க. அது நிறைய பேர் டெவலப் இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆகிட்டு இருக்காங்க. அதை எப்படி நம்ம அவாய்ட் பண்ணுறது?
இப்போ சாரி, ஐ டென்ட் அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் த
பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இப்போ வெளியே இப்போ ஒடிசா
right.
ஆனால் நிறைய ப்ரோக்கர்ஸ் லீக் மூலியமாக வராங்க.
ஓகே.
அது எப்படி நம்ம ஒரு கவர்மெண்டோட இதுக்கு எடுத்துகிட்டு போகிறது? நிறைய பேர் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அவங்களோட ஒர்க்கு வந்து இவ்வளோ வந்து எடுத்துகிட்டு போகிறாங்களோ அப்படின்னு சொல்லி.
See, these agents, they act like aggregators, right? இங்கே வந்து உங்களுக்கு ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி இருக்குது, வேலை இருக்குது. நீங்கள் எல்லா இடத்துலையும் பார்த்துருப்பீங்க தட் தமிழ்நாட்டில் இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கு வேலை கிடைக்கல, பட் வெளியிலேருந்து வந்து வேலை செய்கிறாங்க அந்த கம்பெனி. இப்போ அதே நான் இப்போ ஃபவுண்ட்ரிஸ்க்கெல்லாம் இங்கே ஒரு 3-4 மாதம் முன்னாடி ஐ விசிட்டட் ஆல் த ஃபவுண்ட்ரிஸ் இன் கோயம்புத்தூர் ஏரியா. அவங்க என்ன சொல்கிறாங்கன்னா, தமிழ்நாட்டுக்காரவங்க வந்து வேலை செய்ய மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க, ஏன்னா அங்கே வந்து ஹீட்டு, டஸ்ட்டு அண்ட் ரெஸ்பிரேட்டரி ப்ராப்ளம்ஸ் வருது. ஸோ இன்ஃபேக்ட் உத்தர் எனக்கு சொன்னார், யூ ஈவன் கிவ் மீ ஹிஸ்ட்ரி ஸ்டூடெண்ட், ஐ வில் ட்ரெயின் ஹிம். எனக்கு இன்ஜினியர் யாரும் வேணாம், ஈவன் இஃப் யூ கிவ் அ ஹிஸ்ட்ரி ஸ்டூடெண்ட் வி ஆர் வில்லிங் டு டேக். ஆர்ட்ஸ் ஹியூமனிட்டிஸ் கூட நாங்கள் ட்ரெயின் பண்ணி எடுத்துக்கிறோம்னு. பட் பீப்புள் ஆர் நாட் வில்லிங் டு ஒர்க் because of poverty. See, market will take wherever people will go where the opportunity is available, and market will observe wherever cheap labor, any cheap resource. இப்போ உங்களுக்கு வந்து ஒரு ஷர்ட் ஒரே ஷர்ட்டு 15 ரூபாய்க்கு ஒரு இடத்துல கிடைக்கிது, 25 ரூபாயில் கிடைக்கிறது, நீங்கள் 15 ரூபாய் ஷர்ட்டு வாங்குவீங்க. இப்போ தமிழ்நாடு லேபரர் வந்து இஃப் யூ ஆஸ்க் ஃபார் லெட் அஸ் சே 500 rupees a day, and the Orissa laborer is willing to work for 300 rupees a day, then they will prefer to employ the Orissa laborer, because in terms of quality there is not much difference between the two, right? So, and for them also anga industries illa, so they come where industry. Tamil Nadu is a highly industrialized state. There are so many industries, all of them need labor, so they absorb the labor. Now how they come through these agents, because the laborers inga anga they will be scattered. So these middlemen or agents, அவங்களுக்கு என்ன வேணாலும் பேர் கொடுங்க, டவுட்ஸ் என்ன சொல்கிறீங்களோ, they aggregate and they bring them together. Now how we are trying, for example the department, what we are trying to do is, நீங்கள் உங்களுக்கு ஞாபகம் இருக்கும், when கோவிட் டைமில் நிர்மலா சீதாராமன் சொன்னாங்க, எங்களை we want to give money but we don't have even a list of laborers. The labor department does not have. So the first thing, if a state government we had made, Karnataka we have a list of laborers. We updated that list. And இப்போ வந்து just go back to that, we have started one website. Government of India has started a website called eShram, right? eShram, and the eShram you can register. Can you go to eShram itself and show? இதில் இருக்கா பாருங்க, அங்கே the migrant crisis idella, just go to that slide. So in eShram you can register. Suppose you want to work in an industry, you have a certain skill, let us say you are a good tailor, right? You can register your name and say that I am skilled at tailoring, and then industries will know that so and so such and such a person is available. But these are all very limited solutions. The big problem is that you should have industry where people are available, and you should have workers where the industry is available. As of now in India we are not having. There is an imbalance. Southern states are more developed. People come to Karnataka, they come. Inge ninge evlo per poranga Bangalore ku vela seiyadhu. Bangalore is not able to manage, because so many people come from North India and other southern states, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, to come and work in Bangalore because of IT industry. Right? So this is so you can go and register workers can go and register. So these are all simple solutions. Another thing which we have done is portability of ration card. So suppose you belong to Orissa, your ration card is from Orissa, but you want to get the rations, you have migrated here and you are living here with your family, you can get ration from ration. Now the ration card is portable. So you can get your rations anywhere in the country, right? But there are so many problems. I am not saying it is not there. It's a long-term problem. It's not a crisis. It's a long-term problem. It needs slow solutions, right, to get that corrected. But the best thing is that industrial growth is balanced across the country. So that you from Tamil Nadu should not go somewhere else, need not go somewhere else to work. They also need not come here to work. But today it is not there. But you should also look at the things from the other way. Because we are one country with one constitution and one freedom of movement, people are able to work anywhere in the country. So if you want a job, say, let us say Jammu and Kashmir, you can go and work there. It is possible. Whether you want to do it is different, but if you want to, you can. So there is an advantage also in this. Otherwise, they would not have had any opportunities. At least avங்களுக்கு இங்கே opportunity இருக்கு. இங்கே work. In fact, COVID timeல இங்கே திருப்பூர்ல many industries closed because workers were not there. So you need them and they need you. That is how it works. Right? Government tries to mediate, but government cannot become a middleman in the private sector, right? It cannot become a middleman. So by creating a digital database, we try to make it easy. Adhe madri, you were there last year when the labor department people came, this group was there. So some officers from labor department had come and they were explaining to you they do regular checks. This year also they did. They went around, did how many are there from outside who are working here and whether their working conditions are good. They do frequent inspections and all to see. So those are the mitigating things. Any other?
Third, show with the security. Third question, Pepsi ad. Na management la irundha enna pannirukona as a marketing team நம்ம ஒரு ரியல் கான்ட்ரோவர்சி நடத்தும்போது அந்த கான்ட்ரோவர்சியை நம்ம ஆட்ல வந்து அப்ளிகேட் பண்ணும்போது நம்ம அதோட எக்ஸ்பர்ட்ஸ் அவங்க கிட்ட நம்ம ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நம்ம கேட்டுக்கலாம் இதை பண்ணலாமா வேணாமான்னு கேட்டுட்டு ஒரு சர்டன் பீப்புளை வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நம்ம ஆட் அவங்க கிட்ட காட்டி இதனால ஏதாவது ப்ராப்ளம் வருமான்னு முன்னாடி ப்ரிகாஷன் எடுத்துட்டு நம்ம அதை பண்ணிட்டா அந்த ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்காது.
Very good. Two things. One is market research. First, before you float the ad, you do research to see whether the market will take it. Then you can avoid the backlash. How do you do that? What is called a focus group. So you take a small group, first run the ad, you prepare the ad, run it through them, see their reaction, and then you can tune it according to public sentiment. So these are the things in private sector, in such things. It is elective, no, there's nothing, no crisis happening, nobody is going to die. Therefore, you have time to do the research, take corrective action, and then float the ad. Right? Then you would have probably succeeded instead of facing all these issues.
Second crisis, நம்ம அந்த மைக்ரண்ட் ஒர்க்கர்ஸ் நம்ம அந்த கோவிட் டெஸ்ட் எடுக்கும்போது பிரைவேட் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல்ல நம்ம வாலண்டியரா எடுக்கிற மாதிரி பிரைவேட் லேபரட்டரி எடுத்தா ஈஸியா வர்க் முடிஞ்சுக்கும்.
Private laboratories were also taken for doing the RT-PCR test. We took private laboratories all over. I mean, it was not only our department. Government itself roped in many. Actually, private and public sector, in my state at least, they were working together. In Karnataka, private and public sector worked together. All meetings we used to call private hospitals also. So they also used to participate. So for both testing and for vaccination, public and private, both were used. So each state adopted its own technique depending on its resources. There that was the pattern that we used, the public and the private.
First crisis நம்ம இப்போ இங்க இருந்து நம்ம அங்க கூப்பிட்டாங்க நம்ம அந்த கலெக்டர் வந்து அவங்க ஈஸியா ஹேண்டில் பண்ண முடியலன்னு நம்மள கூப்பிடும்போது நான் ரோட்வேல அதிகமா ப்ரிஃபர் பண்ணாம நான் ஹெலிகாப்டர்ல ஃபுட் அங்க சப்ளை பண்ற மாதிரி அங்க போயிருக்கோம் ஈஸியா.
Yeah, but okay. One thing which you should realize in government is they'll ask you to do the work. They will not give you a helicopter to do the work. Okay, so maybe yes, you could have asked for a helicopter, but to requisition a helicopter itself is a very big process. There was not even enough time for that, right? Secondly, to tell you the truth, the helicopters found it very difficult because of heavy rain and tree cover. Even to drop food supplies was very difficult. And Coorg is a foggy area. The mist irukkum. So it is very famous. People go there to see that. In normal times, people go and see the mist. So that heavy fog, actually the fog cover prevented helicopters even from landing. Okay, they had to, from high above, they had to throw the supplies. So it was actually better to go faster and within my own control to go by road. So it was risky. One place it was like this, and we took, my driver went to the little bit to the left. We would have just fallen into the ditch. It was too dark. It was like God's grace. Somebody came on the road and said, don't go that side, don't go to the left. Ditch irukku. Then he immediately came to the right and towards the hill. So otherwise we would have just fallen into the ditch. It was that risky. But see, you will not have all the resources, ideal resources, in any kind of crisis. Whatever you have to work with that. So if I am sitting there saying that, get me the helicopter, then only I'll go and do my work, people will die. Right? So I can't wait for ideal situation or the best resources. Government cannot afford it, and it's not easy to get. So you'll have to just see what is available, what is practical, and do it.
Rainfall over ஆகுறதுனால ஒரு மேல லேண்ட்ஸ்கேப்பும் நடக்கலாமா? அப்ப வந்து as a district collector நாங்க என்னன்னா அந்த காஃபி எஸ்டேட் ஏன்னா மரத்தோட ரூட் தான் அந்த சாயில வந்து நல்லா பிடிச்சு வச்சிருக்கோம். அப்ப வந்து அந்த percentage of அந்த காஃபி எஸ்டேட் வந்து நான் கம்மி பண்ணி ஒரு மீடியம் ஸ்டேட்ல ட்ரீ வளர்றதுக்கு நான் பார்க்கணும்.
Yeah, that is a very long term thing. Say in Coorg and also nowadays in Kerala and many others like Himachal Pradesh and all these hill stations, what keeps the soil firm is the tree cover. Because of the trees, it's highly forested, the soil remains in place because of the trees. But because of urbanization and large scale construction in Coorg, every few kilometers you have a resort or a hotel. So they cut down the trees. And as they cut down more and more trees, the soil becomes loose. And in fact, after this incident happened, we called geological experts. And they also have said that the forest cover has to be replaced. Otherwise, these instances will go on occurring. It happens, if you remember, last year it happened in Himachal Pradesh. Similar kind of landslides were happening in Himachal because of too much construction. But then everybody should cooperate in that. Or there should be proper regulation to stop these things. In Coorg, it was because of a lot of construction activity took place, because it's a very beautiful place. Many people like to go for holidays. Like those who belong to Kerala, Wayanad also is very popular place. And so many hotels have started coming up. Again, soil is becoming loose. But that is a long-term thing. It's not a crisis. It's a long-term management.
நேச்சுரல் டிசாஸ்டர் வரும்போது நம்ம கவர்மெண்ட் வந்து இந்த இடத்துல இந்த அலர்ட் இருக்குன்னு ஒரு 3 ரேஞ்சஸ் அலர்ட் வந்து ஃபிக்ஸ் பண்ணிடுவாங்க. நம்ம வயநாடு ரெட் அலர்ட் இருக்குன்னு 1 வீக் முன்னாடி சொன்ன மாதிரி இதுக்கும் சொல்லியிருந்தா நிறைய ப்ரிகாஷன்ஸ் எடுத்துருக்காங்க.
We learn from the lessons. 2018 was the first major flood which took place in Kerala, and Coorg was incidental. Mainly it happened in Kerala. We learned lessons from that, and now all this orange alert, red alert, we are more geared to handle these situations. That was possibly the earliest of its kind. Always rains will be there in Kerala. This kind of flooding which resulted in whole buildings falling and landslides, that was still rarity. Now we are becoming more. Even at that time we had started training civil guards and home guards. So many things we managed with civil guards and home guards, at least taking rations, bringing people, those things we managed with civil guards and home guards. But it is a learning curve. Right? Orissa also, if you remember, when I was your age, there used to be yearly cyclone and people will die in Orissa. Right? Then it became so common that they began to learn how to anticipate the cyclone, Now you have cyclones being given names, so you know which cyclone is going to hit from which direction. All this, you get everything in your mobile or on your television. So all this is a learning curve. You are learning from disasters and increasing your preparedness for the next disaster, right? Now, if another pandemic comes, we will know how to handle it better. But certain things you should anticipate and do. But crisis is something usually which you cannot anticipate. Anything else? Any other? Okay, so we'll close with this. We looked at 3 different types of crises and how to manage them. As all of you could see, they are all very different. So when a crisis hits you, you can't say it should be like this, it should be like that. The very nature of the crisis is that you are unprepared, at least relatively unprepared. You have to use your intelligence, you have to use what resources are there. So time was not enough to tell you how much in Kodagu, how much work was done by citizens, how many donations poured in, what are the different types of things which we did, and how the Kodagu people also contributed in all ways. By their enthusiasm and optimism itself they contributed. There were also people who used that as an opportunity to criticize or not do work, those who avoided, that also was there. So I have given you by and large, the way I look at things is the positive side of the picture. But there will be always people who will give you, who will not cooperate with you, or who will not be capable of handling such situations, and you have to manage those things also. So 3 different crises, public and private, and how to handle them. So thank you all very much. So let's hope that you are better equipped to handle crises in the future. Thank you.